Hello and welcome to a brand spanking new Crafty Simulations video, and after the last two videos where we've been featuring some iconic warbirds by Airplane Heaven, namely the Hurricane and the Spitfire, we are back to our bread and butter. This is a general aviation aircraft, and we are now going to be looking at the Skyward Simulation DA50RG. Now, before I get into this, I am going to split this video into two parts. The first part is going to be talking about the product itself, the aircraft, showing off the externals, the internals, controls, avionics, all that good stuff, even the repaints. Part two will be where we are going to do the actual flight in this aircraft. And I wanted to split this up because it means I can concentrate on the talky stuff at the start and the flying bits at the end. So hopefully it makes things a little bit easier for me, and I'm not going to try and rush everything. So first and foremost, let's have the words of the company. Okay, so this is Skyward Simulations, even to get it right. The DA50RG is a modern single-engine aircraft powered by a 300 horsepower turbo diesel engine. The sleek airframe is made of carbon fibre, which sets a new bar for aircraft construction. The aircraft can fly at 20,000 feet at a speed of 180 knots, with great fuel consumption. This makes up for one of the best modern general aviation aircraft. We have carefully developed this aircraft for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 with attention to the small details and the overall experience, allowing you to enjoy this aircraft from your home. Okay, so that's basically Skyward Simulation saying we've developed a really, really good aircraft. The more important part about this is the key features of this aircraft. Okay, so we have an accurate 3D model. Well, considering I've never seen a DA50 before in my life, until I started looking at Diamond's own website, it does look the part. I mean, I haven't seen this particular aircraft in this particular colour scheme, but it looks very accurate to the photos of the real DA50. We have true-to-life definition textures. I have no idea what that means, other than true-to-life definition textures. Well, I'm hoping that means realistic, because yeah, we've definitely got some realistic textures on this aircraft. It looks like most Diamond aircraft. They do look a little bit different than all other general aviation aircraft. And I don't mean different in a bad way. They look brilliant. Custom-coded systems, including ECU and TKS. So, if you remember from the DA42 by Cows, it has a accurate avionics and everything, including the ECU, which is that it's a computer system that controls the engine and the avionics and all that kind of stuff. This also has something like that. It's very accurate. It's a little bit simplified when it comes to the inside, because obviously this is a single engine aircraft. You don't need as many controls and dials and instrumentation as you would in a twin. Ground idle function simulated. I have no idea. Again, I wish they'd put a definition to what this means. Ground idle. I know what that means. You're idling the engine on the ground. So maybe that means the aircraft responds exactly like the real thing when it's ground idling. I don't know. Accurate flight model. I have flown this once, and she'd be speedy. She'd definitely be speedy. It's a very aerodynamic aircraft when you took up the undercarriage and took the flaps away. It's very aerodynamic. This thing is very quick. You don't need such a high power setting to get this aircraft into the cruise. We have a working title Garmin G1000 NXI integration. Okay, so it's running the G1000 system, which is the same as what the DA42 runs. So if you're used to a G1000, you'll be used to this set of avionics as well. Included hand-painted liveries. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, I've never repainted an aircraft in Flight Simulator in my life, but I'm fairly certain most of them are done by hand anyway, because it's hand on the mouse and then doing the artwork. So, included hand-painted liveries. You know, they're all hand-painted. We have immersive custom sounds by Boris Audio Works. Now, I've seen some, or shall I say, I've heard some of Boris's Audio Works in the past. And I've been quite impressed with them, if I'm perfectly honest. Will this be on par with Echo 19's Hurricane Merlin sounds? You know, because this is another company working with Skyward Simulations to add audio, a very decent audio package to their aircraft. And we shall see in the second part of the video. Okay, so let's just have a look around the aircraft. Okay, so I know a lot of people do like diamond aircraft. I'm one of them. I read a comment somewhere where somebody wasn't particularly best with the looks of diamond aircraft, saying they look quite weird. I like weird. Weird is good. I don't think they actually look weird. I think they look unique. They are built to go very quick. You know, for essentially a piston-powered aircraft, they go very quick. This one's pressurized, and like I say, can go up to 20,000 feet at 180 knots, which is quite high and quite fast for what is what we got here, 4-seater, 5? Was that a 5-seater in the back? Yeah, we got 3 seats in the back. So, you know, you're carrying 4 passengers, because this is a single crewed aircraft. According to Diamond, is single crewed, even though I can see a second stick there. To carry that many passengers and also do 20,000 feet at 180 knots is going some. So yeah, I see where all the sleekness comes into it. Obviously, like I say, if you took everything up, this aircraft is really, really sleek, really, really good. It looks absolutely fantastic. I know I keep saying this about Flight Simulator 2020 products. We have some pretty damn good developers now. You know, I don't just mean the ones like Just Flight who've been in the party for ages. It's these ones that are coming out of the woodworks now with these great aircraft. Skyward Simulations, I don't know whether they've created anything in the past. I haven't heard of them, I'm perfectly honest. I do apologise to them if they have created content in the past. I just haven't seen it, but I'm really, really impressed with this DA50. I've got to get the name right. So many different diamond aircraft. You'll just see just about there. That is the one issue that I've seen with this aircraft, and it's more on the inside, and I will go into that in a minute. But as we carry on going around, this aircraft looks brilliant. The fuselage is very well done. Reflections look absolutely fantastic. You know, it looks like I'm actually standing very close to the tail here, and it looks the part. It just looks absolutely fantastic. You know, even the undercarriage system, the suspension and the dampeners and all the rest of it, it looks very, very nice. I am going to sound something odd here, but I'm just looking at the undercarriage, and it sort of reminds me of a Tucano. And for those of you who don't know what the Tucano is, that was a Royal Air Force turboprop twin-seat training aircraft. Now, if you ignore all the stuff on top of it, the undercarriage sort of does look like a Tucano setup for undercarriage. But obviously, this is not a training aircraft for the military. So, yeah. Externally speaking, I think this is actually really, really good looking aircraft. You can see, all I presume is it's a carbon fibre pattern. I can't remember. It said carbon fibre in the making of the aircraft, so I don't know if that's the pattern there. That's just a part of the repaint. The registration, that's the word I'm looking for. The registration here, OE, is for Austria, I do believe, because Diamond is an Austrian company. I will go into the repaints that we get with this aircraft. Remember, the hand-painted repaints. Yeah, I'm not trying to knock the company, but yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, the repaints are very good. There's 2 brilliantly coloured repaints. This is one of them. There's another one that's even more vivid. And then we have a couple of greys and a white one, I do believe. So yeah, I'm hoping there's going to be more repaints popping up in the future. Obviously, this aircraft has only just really been released. So externally speaking, it really does look the part. Even the flaps, for some reason, I put the flaps down before I started this video, and they look the part. They really do. The reflection is just coming off the side there. Again, it's this Flight Simulator. I remember back in FSX days and FS 2004 days, you know, and FS 2000 and all those kind of Flight Simulators where things looked sort of like the real aircraft, but now we are looking at these aircraft and they look exactly pixel to pixel like the real thing. It's very hard to find any issues whatsoever with this aircraft, externally speaking. So, with that in mind, let's jump inside and see what greets us inside the cockpit. So, here we are, cockpit of the DA50. Now, if you have flown Diamond aircraft in the past, you will be familiar with a lot of these instrumentation and where they are located and what they do. Obviously, I've done quite a bit of content around the DA42, and a lot of this stuff is just pretty much. Diamond are obviously going to use the same kind of instrumentation layout or cockpit layout in their aircraft. Obviously, things are a lot simpler with a single engine over a twin engine system, but if you've flown one Diamond aircraft, even if it's a twin, you'll generally know roughly where the basic stuff is at the very least. So let's move over, let's do it left to right. So moving over to the left side of the aircraft, we have the de-icing section. This is a familiar panel. This is functional. In the DA42, it's over on the right-hand side of the cockpit, but in the DA50, it's over here. It's exactly the same. You know, you've got your different levels of how much you want the de-icing to be on, and obviously once you get to high, you can put it onto maximum, and these lights will light up. Obviously, they're not at the moment because the battery isn't on. We have the, well, they call it the FEDEC. This is the testing thing, you know, on the DA42 even, we pressed the twin test button to test the engine systems, and it goes into an automated process where the aircraft will take over and it powers the engine up, does all the tests your ECUs, and does it automatically for you. So normal aircraft, you have to do the mag test and the propeller pitch and all that kind of stuff. This aircraft does it all for you, exactly the same as DA42, only we only have one ECU, I do believe, which is either an auto or force B, and then we have the test button here, again, perfectly functional. We have the alternators on or off. I always found this weird because most alternators on aircraft should be off by default when you walk out to a cold and dark aircraft. Diamond, weirdly, has them set to on. You always leave them on. I even watched a few videos of pilots with DA42s, and they said every time they walk out to an aircraft, the alternators should be in the on position. So this aircraft's going to be pretty much the same. We'll go on to the G1000 in a minute. Moving on to the lower part of the center console here, we have a de-icing switch, fuel transfer switch, emergency fuel pump, engine start, that's the fun button, and engine master. So these are all grouped into the engine controls. So if you know the DA42, and I'm going to keep going back to mentioning the DA42, once you've got the power to the aircraft, select the on button. Messages will pop up just here. Wait till the glow plugs or glow plugs have the light has gone out on them, because it is a diesel engine, so it needs to get heat into the glow plugs. Once that light has gone out, then you can press the start button, and away you go. Okay, we have an ESS bus switch. I don't think we use that for normal. Yeah, it says here not for normal operation. So part of the manual. We have the electronic master switch, or battery switch, whatever you want to call it. It's a single switch. The AV switch and the pitot stall heat switch. These buttons are all the same as DA42s, more over this side of the aircraft, but, you know, if you've seen a DA42, you've seen the DA50. We have the landing gear 3 lights. We also have the test switch, which will which will put this light on here to do your testing, and obviously the undercarriage up and down switch. Moving over to the right hand side of the cockpit, we have the flap control again. We have flaps up, takeoff and landing, same thing as the DA42. It's actually even got the speeds. I don't recall if the DA4 if the twin has the speeds on it, I can't remember, but obviously, you know, that's there. Obviously flaps are set to down at the moment. We do have an ELT, which looks like it'll work. I haven't pressed it, don't need it. One of the downsides of this aircraft over the DA42 is the fact the fuse panel does not work. These fuses are as they are. It's not a deal breaker for me personally. How many times do you play around with the fuses in a flight simulator aircraft? You just don't. So I'm quite happy that all these, they're accurate, they look exactly like they should do, but they just don't pop and they're not clickable. Moving up to the top of the screens, we have the standard four switch light buttons, so landing, taxi, positional and strobe. Again, same as the DA42. So we do have the G1000 NXI, I do believe it was called. Well, we'll just call it the G1000, shall we? Yes, NXI, I actually got it right. I've got my script in front of me. So we have the same setup as normal, twin screen. Pilot has the flight information on there, navigational information is on there, and we have the communications panel set here, and we have the autopilot panel set down here. So again, it's the same as any other G1000 equipped aircraft. So moving down to the lower pedestal area, we have something that's a little bit different from the DA42. We have the environmental controls being here. Again, it's a simulator, you know, I can turn the fans on, I won't feel anything, but you know, it is functional. And you do get some good sounds. Again, like I say, perfectly functional. I don't know whether the aircraft steams up or mists up in the canopy, but it's nice to have the controls are there. We have a very simple throttle system. This aircraft does not have a propeller pitch. The aircraft does that itself, and it does not have a mixture control. The aircraft does that itself. So we have a one single chunky throttle. We also have the parking brake little teeny weeny tap switch here, so pulling up, parking brake set, put the switch back down again, parking brakes taken off. We have cowl flaps here, and the problem is on these, from this standard position of which I'm sitting in, I'm clicking where I would expect to be pressing, you know, the cowl flap control, and as you can see, I get the throttle. Is it a deal breaker? Well, if the cowl flaps are shut, you will go quicker, but, you know, it's not a deal breaker per se, but it would be nice being able to actually, you know, instead of having to lean your head round, for those of you who don't have TrackIR or head tracking, that may be a bit of an issue. We have your trim tab here. That's pretty much the same as the DA42, and we have down here the fuel shut off and well, yeah, fuel shut off switch, which always is in the upright normal position. That's it. So again, I would imagine a cold and dark aircraft that would be set to off, but cold and dark in Flight Simulator means it's set into the normal position. So that is basically your controls. We do have this weird doohickey here, which I do believe is ventilation stroke. Well, I have no idea really what it does, but there's things you can click on. I don't know if this is to do with pressurization or what. Angle focus. Again, you'd have to be an owl to be looking back that angle, so I don't have to worry about that. So, internally speaking, textures. So if we look at, we'll skip past the issue at the moment, but if we look at the sound dampening, I suppose you'd call it, cover, it does the part. I mean, it is supposed to be a fabric. I would imagine it's a foamy kind of fabric. It looks fairly realistic. Reflections look pretty damn good. You know, I mean, it's all over the place, so you'd expect that. This aircraft has to have noise dampening or noise cancelling sounds, noise cancelling materials in it to obviously dull out the sound of the great big propeller up front. In fact, if I remember how to shut this thing, where's the tab? There we go. Nice little squeak, and we get more of the dampening, sound, padding, whatever you want to call this stuff. Downside of this aircraft at the moment is the visibility. The forward visibility is taken out by quite a large chunk of this stuff. So if you have head tracking, it's perfectly fine. You just move your head. If you don't have head tracking, it could be a bit of an issue on the ground. But you know, you have head tracking on, you're ducking down a little bit just to see forward and make sure that you're not going to run into anything from the left or the right. So we did hear some of the sounds there. I'm quite impressed with the sounds. Probably shouldn't have pressed that when the aircraft's off, but anyway, you know, we have different sounds for different switches. That doesn't make a noise. Nice choice. So, you know, that doesn't make a sound going up. Okay, it makes a sound whenever it wants. Interesting. Bottle don't make a sound. So we have a repeating sound there, but sounds actually are pretty good. Obviously with the engine running, it sounds a little bit better. Realistic sounds. I'm going to give it a pass on the sounds. They're actually pretty damn good, really. What I have noticed is a little cat flap here. Doesn't make a sound. Yeah, we've heard squeaky ones, we've heard clicking ones, you've heard the little tab that if they've got them at the top there. It'll be interesting to see how that actually seals up, because there is no tab. So I don't know if that's realistic to the real aircraft, haven't a clue. but good sounds on opening the canopy up all the way. So before we go on to the bad, good leather seating. Yes, that's very important for you, even though you technically won't be able to see this because your buttocks will be in the way. But yeah, again, good passable leather. And again, looking at the back, yeah, see, you got your 3 seats at the back. Probably a bit uncomfortable for 3 people, 3 grown-up adults, but yeah, to be honest, I quite like it. I think it's a very good aircraft. I've seen worse looking cockpits in flight simulators. So let's get on to the issue. Okay, the issue that I'm hoping is going to get fixed is these things. The sun visors, they are folded in. It took me a while to work out what the heck they were. I only noticed because there's a flickering. You may just see every now and again there's a flickering because technically they've gone inside each other. But if you fold that down, you only have one position for these things, by the way. So that's it. And you'd assume that they would be able to be moved, you know, in different positions. But when they fold away, they go into each other. So it's a bit of a downside. So even if you fold that one away first, and then fold that one away, it goes through and starts ghosting an image. It's a bit of a distraction, I must admit. But when you fly normally, you're not going to use these things. Basically, I've seen better sun visors on the other aircraft that seem to actually work, taking away some of the glare. This one just seems to add blur. I mean, if you was going to be looking through that, you can see the trees are ahead of us, but it looks like those kind of drunk glasses you got at the fair. So if you get rid of them, crystal clear, and you put them down, obviously, yeah, that's the only issue. That is the only issue so far, this aircraft. So, internally speaking, this aircraft gets a pass for me as well, because it does look the part. I have looked at a few DA50s in Diamond's own website for the real ones, and they do look the part. And like I said, I've done one flight with this aircraft, and it was really, really nice. So, let's jump into the menu screen. I'll show you some of the repaints that you get with this aircraft. Hello and welcome back to the main menu screen for the Skyward Simulations DA50. Here is the 5 hand-painted textures of which you get. You get a white one, which has the prefix of white. Again, OE, it's for Austria. You get the blue one that we saw in the video previously, and we get another rather ludicrously painted aircraft. I can't imagine that thing camouflaged very well. And then we get 2 grey ones. Now, we have the Black Knight, that's what it's called. So I don't know what prefix that is, what country that comes from. But we do have a German Diamond, which is also grey. So I'm assuming they look pretty much the same. I could be wrong, that one could be Black Knight, black all over, or looks like grey to me, to be honest. But that's the 5 repaints you get in this package. I have seen better, I have seen more, but I'm hoping that obviously the community will start to release various repaints of these aircraft. Obviously I fly in the UK, so it'd be nice to see some prefixes beginning with G. But I don't know how many DA50s are actually flying in the UK, because this is a fairly new aircraft. So we'll jump back into, we're going to jump into this one actually, and I will join you back when we get back to RAF Waddington. So, welcome back to the last part of part 1 of this video. We started off with a nice bright blue aircraft. Now we have this rather uniquely coloured individual of an aircraft. It certainly stands out a bit here. I was just actually looking in the making of this video for the facts of this aircraft, and I've actually found the price tag for this aircraft. Yeah, it ain't cheap. Okay, so this is in dollars. Okay, so the prices are expected to start at $1.15 million. That be pricey, and that's not even cheap, because a well-optioned model. Okay, that's what Diamond say. A well-optioned model, I don't know what the option list is for one of these things, will go between $1.3 and $1.4 million. Ouch. That's not including the running of the thing. Just before I go as well, another interesting fact of this aircraft, you see a propeller before you, and this ain't no turboprop, this is just a piston-powered aircraft, yet it actually runs on Jet A1 fuel. So this thing runs on jet fuel, like all other Diamond aircraft, I believe, which I find very fascinating, because it's, you know, how you make a piston aircraft run on jet fuel, I'll never know, but Diamond did it. So, yeah. If you're actually in the business or wanted to own one of these things, it's going to be a little bit pricey, so you might have to settle for the flight simulator version. Right, so that is the end of part 1 of our little video on the DA50 here. Part 2 of the video, we're actually going to take it up for a little flight, and we'll see what's what. And I think I'm going to fly this nice little bright red one, because, why the heck not? And I will see you guys very, very soon in part 2 of our first look at the Skyward Simulations DA50.